Ready? 1, 2, 3, up.
The evidence is overwhelming, not just in Michigan, but around the country, that a good environment for a young child, even preschool children, actually helps them in the future. It keeps them in school over time, they become productive citizens, and it reduces the risk that they're going to be on welfare later in life, or unfortunately in some cases actually become incarcerated in prison. The reality is, and the evidence is, that good, high-quality child care benefits the child much later in life.
You know, child care for anyone is important, it's critical. People want to come to work and know that their children are being taken care of. It doesn't matter if you are an entry-level operator or you're the director of HR. You want to know that you're coming to work and your children are being taken care of well.
It's a little stressful to go meet strangers and have them take care of your children while you go to work. I have a son who's ADHD, he has behavioral problems, and I get phone calls, I gotta go get him. It's quite challenging. I take on more stress because I want everyone to really be happy, and it's hard to please everyone.
Parents are working. That's true of a two-parent household, and it's certainly true of a single-parent household. But the reality is, mostly by necessity, sometimes by choice, all parents are working. And they need reliable, affordable, high-quality child care. And it's important for children, but it's also important for employers.
For many years, Cascade has tried to pull candidates in from underemployed and challenged groups. That's part of our mission. But these days, the economy is doing much better. The good news is there's jobs out there, there's a lot of activity going on. The bad news is we're all fiercely competing for candidates. So more than ever before, we're tapping into a labor pool of individuals that may have a challenge.
Today in Michigan, and this is true elsewhere around the country, in Michigan, a lot of places are at full employment. Employers actually need workers. And there's a pool of workers who can't get into the workforce because they're typically low income. A lot of times it's a single parent household. They might be on public assistance, but without child care is the barrier, the obstacle to getting these people into the workforce.
I have 4 children. Diogene is my oldest, she's 17. I have a son named Larry, he's 11. Sharasia is 9, and Dominic is 6. That's what daycare does for me personally. It helps me to help myself and to provide for my children. Be a better person, be a better woman, be a better mother. You feel good about yourself when you can do things for yourself and provide for your family.
If somebody does have good options for their child care, it takes a level of stress off their shoulders to come to work and know they don't have to worry about what's going on with my children today. Are they being taken care of well? And when they come to work that way and that stress is not there, they are able to focus on their job. And when they're focusing on their job, first and foremost, they're working more safely. Above all, that's the most important thing. But secondly, they're focusing more on what they're doing, paying attention, doing a better job. They're able to be here because they know their children are being taken care of. And when that happens, what they're creating, maybe without realizing it, is job security and opportunities to go forward with that company.
Michigan makes it very difficult for families to take advantage of the assistance that is there for child care, particularly for low-income people. Our income level for eligibility is among the lowest in the country.
We also find that individuals are nervous about the fact that they may take a step forward in their career and a half a step back in their assistance, and it's hard for them to reconcile that. We get it, that when somebody's getting assistance or a subsidy, there's got to be a line. We understand there's got to be a scale, but it's time to look at where that scale is because we need to make sure that individuals can take those steps forward until they get to a place where they can actually be relatively comfortable where they're at financially before those supports go away.
Our reimbursement rates, standard reimbursement rates for child care providers, there's only 3 states lower than ours. We make the application process extremely difficult. In a recent year, 80,000 applications were made, 60,000 were rejected, and not because people were ineligible, it's just the application process is so difficult and so onerous, they can't get through it.
Applying for daycare years ago actually was a lot easier. You just filled out the paperwork, you had a provider, that was it.
If we want to be serious in this state about getting people who are on public assistance into the job market so they can break the cycle of poverty and welfare and become self-sufficient and independent, we have to do 3 things when it comes to this issue of providing child care. First, we have to raise the income eligibility in Michigan. We're among the most restrictive in the country. Secondly, we have to raise the assistance level in terms of rates provided to providers of child care. And thirdly, we have to make the application process easier so that people can get through the application process. We've got to streamline the process so that people who are eligible get the child care assistance they need.
We need to make sure that individuals are understanding the long-term situation, what are the long-term opportunities, and hopefully coming together as individuals and companies and legislators and communities to say, okay, right now in this economy, what do we need and what's good now? And it's not the same as it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's different now, and you have to come up with solutions that are different.
It is really difficult to find quality daycare. At an affordable price. You have lots of options, just not really good ones.
We do nothing in this state, we'll continue the status quo. Employers who need workers won't get those workers. Parents and families who need child care to get into the workforce won't be able to get into the workforce. And then there's a third group, which we really haven't talked much about, and that's the children themselves. If we're not willing to invest in the children of Michigan, we're going to shortchange their future. Some of those children are going to end up themselves on public assistance, and it really is time to make a decision. Are we willing to invest in the children of Michigan?